Hey guys, I'm Rich from NeoWin. Today we're unboxing the Acer Swift 7. I'm actually pretty excited about this because you guys know that I love thin and light laptops. I like the ability to throw it in my bag and I'm carrying my bag and it feels like nothing's in there. And that's what this is. This is going to be the lightest laptop that I have ever reviewed. Whoa, the lightest. It's under 2 pounds. I know. 1.96 pounds to be exact. Okay. There's some improvements over last year. The trackpad should be clickable now. There's touch on the display, something that's often a compromise of a thin and light device. So let's just get this open because I gotta take a look at this. I mean, seriously, under 2 pounds. Like, usually when something comes in at under 3 pounds, we consider it to be pretty light. 2.5 pounds is very light. For example, the Lenovo ThinkPad X1 Carbon is 2.4 pounds. Alright, so we got the little box within a box here. Alright, this is where we're going to find, I assume, just the laptop. Alright, let's see what else is in here. Oh, we got a case. That's pretty cool. I like it when laptops come with cases. Alright, we got some Acer support paperwork here. We're not going to look at that really. Let's see, we got a charger. Let's look at the charger. It better be USB Type. I'm sure it's USB Type C for. This is like the high end. I just reviewed the Swift 3 if you followed that. Yeah, USB Type C. I'm going to guess 45 watts. So the highest output on this is actually 65 watts, which is kind of surprising because the one downside to this PC is that it does have a Y series processor, which is a Core i7-8500Y. So the difference there is that on a standard Ultrabook, you get a U series processor. And U series, it's quad core, ever since the 8th generation, 15 watt. And, it's pretty standard for getting all your stuff done. The Y series is designed for devices exactly like this, to be honest. Fanless devices mainly, and that's a 5 watt chip. Now, and it's dual core. The 8th generation is 5 watts. 7th gen was 4.5 watts. I've used some Y series processors, and the performance really, it isn't there. If you're gonna, first of all, if you're gonna, when I review U series laptops, that's a little magnetic. This is very nice. When I review U series laptops, I usually point out that you could edit video, but you probably wouldn't want to, or you wouldn't want to make it your daily driver for editing video. With this, don't even try. I can tell you that right now. So yeah, pretty nice case here. Looks like a leather case. Could be some fake leather. I really wouldn't know the difference. But yeah, cases are cool when they ship with the device. The only other company I've seen do that is HP with the Spectre X360. Let's get the device open. This does not feel like 2 pounds, I can tell you that right now. I point this out often, which is that sometimes devices feel heavier than they are. Sometimes they feel lighter than they are, and I think it has to do with the way the weight is distributed. Now that feels more like 2 pounds. I guess there's other stuff in here. Let's have a look. There is more paperwork. There's a setup guide, a quick guide, and we're going to put this right back in there where it belongs. I don't think there's anything else in here. It's just, it's just a fairly heavy box, really. Yeah, it's a fairly heavy box. Okay, let's get this back in there. And this is our Acer Swift 7. Okay, so usually, by the way, it's a very long device. It is 16 by 9, and it feels long. And it does have a 92% screen to body ratio. Wow, this is light. This is so light. Okay. All right. It's light. So it does have a 92% screen to body ratio, and we're going to take a closer look in a moment. Keyboard is a little shallow. Trackpad is clickable. we're going to take a closer look at this. I'm going to turn the screen on and everything. Um, the reason that it's so long is that it is a 16 by 9 display, but with such a high screen to body ratio, what happens is you get such a narrow chin, so you're really getting the shape of a 16 by 9 display. Couple other things. 2.57 millimeter bezels, which is wild. And it is 9.95 millimeters thin. So you can see very thin. We just have a headphone jack over here. On this side, we've got two USB Type-C ports, which are both Thunderbolt 3. So, I feel like Acer was trying to hit some marks with this PC, and I think they did that. I think they were going for under 2 pounds, which is why they wound up at 1.96, and I think they were going for under 10 millimeters, which is why they ended up at 9.95. But what's really interesting is that this isn't much thicker than a smartphone, or at least an older smartphone. Here you go. I have a Lumia 930 here, what I refer to as Goldie, but you can see they're roughly the same or very close. Obviously, most smartphones are a bit thinner, 8 millimeters, something like that. So it's very thin. It's very light. And it's a pretty sexy machine too. Black, the chrome. Oh, it's not chrome. It's more of a gold color Acer logo. Very nice looking device. And it's actually it's made out of 2 magnesium alloys. There's magnesium lithium and there's magnesium aluminum. This is obviously not going to be an aluminum laptop. Aluminum is, for all the materials that we see in devices, aluminum is probably the heaviest. Magnesium's lighter, plastic's lighter, carbon fiber's lighter. Pretty much everything we see is lighter than aluminum. So this is not going to be an aluminum device. And if you have a laptop that you say, it's a little bit too heavy, it's because they used aluminum. So let's take a closer look. So the first thing that we're going to look at is the keyboard, because I do feel like that's the most important part. And look at how wide that trackpad is. It's comically wide. It's not very tall. And it's wide because we have such a wide body on this machine. So that's not surprising. I feel like they could have made the keyboard a little higher and had a taller trackpad, but that is what it is. Remember, this is a very thin and light device, so we're lucky that we can even click this at all. Last year's model was unclickable. It was just a trackpad and you could tap it. The keyboard is pretty shallow. If we look this way, the keyboard is pretty shallow. So that's just something to be aware of. Again, not surprising though. Remember, very, very thin and light. So the keyboard is engineered to be that way. Okay, and over here, we have a webcam. So a pop-up webcam. So you have the privacy guard there, which is cool. The privacy part of it is cool. The placement of it is not. So there are various methods for webcam privacy. This might be the very worst that I've ever seen. And Dell used to put it under the display over here so they could have narrow bezels. Makes sense, but the camera angle is terrible. Huawei put one in the keyboard over here, but at least that's in the middle. This is off to the side. It's not a good spot. So yeah, that's bad. The best ones that I've seen are the physical switches, where Lenovo puts a privacy guard built into the webcam. There's a switch on the top bezel. HP actually has a switch on the side that disconnects it from the inside. So we can see that the display is quite nice. There is touch, as you can see over here. Yeah, it's a pretty nice display. Although I believe it's only 1080p. It looks nice enough that I would have guessed it was 4K, but no, yeah, 1080p. You can see there's a little bit of dirt on the display or whatever. That's because I am not the first person to review this product. This was someone else had this unit before I did, so you know it is what it is, and you can tell that someone had it. That's very common. Another thing is that if we look over here, we have a power button next to the escape key. I'm guessing that doubles as a fingerprint sensor. Obviously, there's no IR camera on here. Let's just take a look, and let's say sign in options. If we say fingerprint, this is currently unavailable, probably because you must add a password. If I say facial recognition, it's just going to say we don't have a camera. So, yeah, there is a fingerprint sensor. That should be it. Pretty cool. Yeah, so look at how narrow those bezels are. And you can't even see it because really the screen is so nice, you can barely see where the screen ends and where the bezels begin. So you can see, though, very, very tiny on the edges. Probably the smallest bezels I've ever seen. I love it. I love this PC so far. But if we look in settings and we look at the chipset, it's going to be a Y series. 8500Y, 16 gigs of RAM. It does have 512 gigs of storage as well, which is pretty cool. It should do most of what you need it to do. It has the storage, it has the RAM. Bit of a slow processor though, even though it is an i7. Not all i7s are equal. Let's also take a quick look at what comes pre-installed on this machine, because when I reviewed the Swift 3, there was a lot. So, Acer Collection S, Amazon, App Explorer, Booking.com, Evernote, Firefox, Hearts Deluxe. So that does Norton Security, although everybody puts antivirus on consumer laptops. Acer's the only one I've seen use Norton in recent years. So Photo Director for Acer, Power Director for Acer, Simple Mahjong, Simple Solitaire, Spades. Oh, this is really a bummer. Is Wild Tangent. Alright, at least we don't have Wild Tangent games. You know, this is one of my biggest complaints about the Acer Swift 3 was all the bloatware on there. And I'm really disappointed to see that there's so much bloatware on this one. And that's just because it really is bloatware is bad. And this is the top of the lineup. This is the Swift 7. I'm really bummed out about that. Let's switch up the background so we can just see how tiny these bezels are. Man, I'm really bummed out about that bloatware. But yeah, you can see, and it's a very nice display, and I wouldn't guess that it's full HD, because I do think that full HD is a little low at times, and this one comes out really good. I have a lot of software to uninstall. Man, this just ruined the experience for me. Man. But yeah, it's an awesome PC, and what's great about it is that you will not find another device that's under 2 pounds like this. It's incredible. But yeah, like I said, shallow keyboard. You can see over here we have a 3.5 millimeter combo audio jack. Oh, it's so light. Just lifting it up, it's so weird. 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports on this side. That's all you got for ports. You're going to want to get a Bluetooth mouse if you don't already have one, or if you're not a mouse guy, you just use this weirdly wide trackpad. You know, I gotta say, this weirdly wide trackpad might be weirdly wide, but the thing about it is, I'd rather have a wide trackpad like that than have one that's this tall and only this wide. So, I like it. I like this machine a lot. Obviously, I'm gonna reset it. I'm gonna sign in with my own Microsoft account. And what happens after that is I install pretty much every app that I pointed out. Some of the bloatware that's on here comes from Microsoft, which I don't actually see. Usually we got Candy Crush and Bubble Witch right around here. We'll probably see that after I reset. LinkedIn comes from Microsoft. Microsoft Solitaire Collection comes from Microsoft. And that's why some of this stuff gets in the way. We have Solitaire Collection from Microsoft, and then from Acer we have things like Simple Mahjong, Simple Solitaire, Spades. So I'm not a fan of this stuff. We have and there's competing products in here too. Evernote, which ships alongside OneNote. Firefox, which comes alongside Edge. This is a problem on Android where apps where devices ship with two of things, and it's unnecessary. It's like you don't need two browsers. You know, honestly, if you're spending this much on a PC, you probably know which browser you want to use, and you probably know how to get it. So that's just disappointing. Figure best to stop looking so closely at it, because I could sit here and complain about that bloatware all day. The reason for that is that most PCs that I see at this price point, at that premium range, don't have third-party software installed, except for maybe some crappy antivirus software, which no one should use. You should just uninstall it and practice safe browsing. Anyway, it bums me out because I like to root for the underdog. Acer is the fourth biggest PC manufacturer, which I'm not even sure about. They might even be fifth now, with Microsoft doing well with Surface. Obviously, HP, Dell, and Lenovo are the top three. So I root for the underdog, and because a lot of times the underdog makes the best products, and really this is one of the best products. It's so wildly light, and it's just to crap it up with software like that, it's really a shame. And I know it's a common practice in low end, low price PCs, because the whole point is that it's subsidized. So maybe Wild Tangent Games is paying Acer $2 a PC to throw their software on there. I get it at that price. You're paying this much? Not cool. Not cool. So, but it's there, and the good news is it's easy to get rid of. And that's going to be the first thing I do after I reset it. But this PC is so nice. It's crazy how light this is. I think the lightest PC I've used ever is around 2.5 pounds. Maybe even a little lower. Probably whatever last year's ThinkPad X1 Carbon was. I don't have this one's yet, Lenovo. So I mean, under 2 pounds, it seems unreal to me that a PC can be this thin, this light. And I can't even criticize the choice of the Y series processor in here. I'm not a fan of the Y series, but this is what the Y series was made for. I've seen a lot of Ultrabooks use that Y series, and they are fanless. I've also seen fanless U series PCs, but not this thin. They're like, for instance, Dell's XPS 13 2-in-1 uses a Y series processor. I don't believe that they can't engineer a U series processor in that machine. Maybe they got to redo the thermals a little bit, but it's got to be possible, because I've seen some super thin. The MateBook X, the Huawei MateBook X, that a U series processor, no fan. But it's not 2 pounds. It's not under 2 pounds. But it's thin. It's light, and this is just wild. And what I love, another thing that I love about it is that it feels very premium to the touch. Speaking of other thin and light devices, although you know what, actually the thinnest device I've used is the LG Gram. It's about 2.2 pounds, which one of the ones I've used 3 of them, but those are made out of a magnesium alloy as well, but those feel more like plastic. This doesn't feel like plastic. It almost feels like aluminum. Acer says it's ceramic-like material, but it's cool, it's hard, it feels like a good build quality. It doesn't feel like something that's going to break, and I really like it. So it does have a fairly small battery. It's just 32 watt hours. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how the battery life is. Again, that's paired with a lower power processor, so it might not need the kind of battery power that we get from other PCs. So the other thing that I like about this machine is that they really didn't make compromises. This is as far as the display goes back, by the way. I like that you can click the trackpad now. I like that the display has touch, although I can live without touch. That's okay. I like that there's a fingerprint sensor. The keyboard is backlit, A lot of these things get sacrificed when you go thin and light, and they did get sacrificed in previous generations. I am gonna have to spend some time with the keyboard. It's very shallow. It sort of reminds me of Dell's XPS 15 2-in-1. If this was a Dell machine, I'd say it was maglev, but I'm not gonna make that assumption. And the display does have Corning Gorilla Glass 6. It's a 0.4 millimeter thick layer of Corning Gorilla Glass thick and a thin 2 millimeter panel with touch capabilities. So it took some work to get that touchscreen engineered for this. So I'm going to be playing with this for the next few weeks because there are definitely some pros and cons here. I've mentioned the pros, which is really it's how thin and light it is. Although the display is quite nice, I got to say. But that's the big pro. If you don't care for something that's under 2 pounds, there's going to be better options out there. This is what you want, thin and light. Then this is what you're looking at. Performance is going to be a compromise that I'm going to have to discuss. It's not a. We'll find out how much of a compromise it is, but it is a compromise. The webcam placement, I don't think it's a big deal. It's the worst webcam placement I've seen. But when Dell used to put the webcam on below the screen, I used to ask them every time a new XPS they were briefing us, and I would always ask them like, why isn't the webcam on top by now? And they say, how often do you use your webcam? I'd say never, because I never use my webcam. So, they see, there you go. So it's there if you really need it, but no one uses it. But the thing is, even stuff that you don't use, when you do use it, you want it to work properly. I do get it. I get, wanting that immersive experience of such narrow bezels. It makes sense, and it's okay. But, if you use the webcam, this is not going to be the one you want to use. So that's it, guys. I'm going to have a review on this in a few weeks, so stay tuned for that. I'm excited to play with this. I'm Rich from NeoWin. Have a great night.